guys? It is me, Icy Movies, back with a brand new video and for the first video of 2019. And this is a video I should have gotten out a very long time ago. So a few things before we start. I'm gonna add an honorable mentions because there's been some really good movies this year and I can't just talk about 10 of them. I need to talk about just a little more that I really think you guys should be watching. Also, there's going to be spoilers for some. For some movies, I'm going to add spoilers, and for some movies, I'm not going to add spoilers because I know some of you guys haven't seen this, and if it's on my top 10, I want you guys to see it. So, I'm just going to keep some of them vague, and then some of them I'll have spoilers, so I'll put, spoilers on front of one of them if you haven't seen it and you want to, and you can just, skip over it, because I have timestamps, in the description. So, also, this is my opinion. My 2019 list is nothing like a lot of other 2019 lists. There are some movies on here that are on pretty much every other 2019 list I've seen, but there are some that I have not seen on any other list. So, this is just my opinion. If my movie didn't make it on your list, or vice versa, if your favorite movie didn't make it on my list, it doesn't make it a bad movie. Everyone's opinions are different. So in the comments, you should tell me your top 10 of 2019. Or maybe just your favorite of 2019. I don't know. I love hearing your guys' opinions. I love hearing your movie opinions. It feels like I'm just talking to myself sometimes, and, I don't get many comments, and I would love some comments. So on with the video! Flamingo. So I had the chance to see Piece Stampede in theaters back in October. I only got 30 episodes in by the time I did see it, so I didn't really know much about One Piece, but I was really enjoying the show. But I did want to see if it got any better, in the present, because I hear a lot of people say, oh, it's getting boring now, but I wanted to see for myself. So I went to go see the movie, not knowing much about One Piece, and I ended up loving every second of this movie. Much like seeing the Broly movie in theaters sparking my interest in Dragon Ball, One Piece Stampede really sparked my interest in One Piece. Last night I watched a lot of episodes, so I'm now at episode 150-something. I'm really enjoying the show. I have a feeling this is going to be one of my favorite animes. That's not the only reason I like this movie though. Pretty much everything else just delivers really well. One of my favorite parts of anime are the excessive amounts of characters. Unlike Dragon Ball Super, primarily focusing on just Goku and Vegeta this time, instead of the other Z fighters like what happened in Dragon Ball Z, One Piece includes everyone. Of course they don't all share the same amount of screen time, with Luffy of course getting the most, but the other characters are helpful and do have a reason to be there. What I really liked was Usopp. He felt really brave and important. And Usopp is my favorite Straw Hat, so it was really nice seeing him get some glory. Another thing I really like is the campiness of this movie. This is a non-canon celebration of the legacy of One Piece, going on for 20 years. This movie's very cheesy, and 20 years later, it still captures the same feeling and tone as it did in the first couple episodes. So I commend it for that. It's not something that many shows can do. If you're a fan of One Piece or any shonen anime, I definitely recommend this. On with the next one. Okay, I may be a little biased with this one, but I don't care. It's my review, it's my video. Shut up! I grew up with Toy Story, and it was my favorite movie from when I was just a little baby all the way till I saw Brigsby Bear in 2017. I was obsessed with Toy Story. Woody, Buzz, all of them. I loved them so much. I watched all the movies multiple times. I went as Buzz Lightyear for Halloween once, and I had a ton of merchandise. A lot of baby photos of me include me with a Toy Story shirt, me with a Toy Story action figure, or Woody's hat or something. I was obsessed. I saw Toy Story 3 in theaters so many times. I think I went 3 or 4 times, and now it's my favorite Toy Story movie. So when I heard there was gonna be a 4th one, I was actually really terrified. Because after the 3rd movie just ended so perfectly, I didn't know that they could do more. So, like many others, I figured it would just be another pointless cash grab, and then I got even more scared after The Incredibles 2 came out. Because that one was a pointless cash grab. It was very boring, and it didn't need to be made. And then I saw Toy Story 4, and I was just... oh my god. This is so good. First, let me praise the hyper-realistic animation. It was scary good. Everything looked so real. I was just amazed. It took me back to the feeling I had in 2014 when I was like 11 years old, and 11-year-old me, his mind was blown seeing the Lego Movie, because I thought it was actually stop motion, and then when someone told me that it wasn't stop motion, it was CGI, my life was just turned upside down. It looked so good for the time, just like how this looks so good for the time. Secondly, I want to talk about the theme of the movie, which hit really hard, because I did not expect it to go there. I thought it would just be where Bonnie loves Woody, he's still the number one toy, but then he's faced with either leaving for a new life, or just staying Bonnie's toy. But this was, like, completely different. You know, Woody has changed perfectly. It feels like the last movies actually happened. Woody isn't the number one toy anymore. He was the one in the closet most of the time. Forky was the number one toy. And Woody realized that, and he did everything he could to make sure Bonnie stayed happy and for Forky to realize that he means a lot to Bonnie. Woody then realizes himself that he's not important. He doesn't have to be there. He understands it when he chooses to go separate ways. That moment made me bawl my eyes out. Like, there was a theater full of little kids, and I was the only one crying. That was really painful. That hurt a lot. It was such a good scene. Seeing these characters that I just grew up with finally leaving for the last time, or, you know, what I hope is the last time, I'm just really glad this turned into an Incredibles 2 kind of thing. On with the next one.
In a white room with black curtains near the station.
Yeah, I know, this is an unpopular opinion. I see this movie didn't get a lot of praise. Well, you know, it did get a lot of praise, it got a lot of money, but it didn't get a lot of praise on, like, Twitter and, you know, the film Twitter people. I can't believe I said that out loud. But anyway, I really enjoyed this movie. Joker was this fresh take on these superhero movies, if you want to call it that, making us feel bad for a character we don't even know the name of. Well, in this one, we do, but like, as far as I can remember, Joker hasn't had a name. So it's hard to feel for a character who we only know as this, like, heartless villain. So there wasn't much for Todd Phillips to work with, as, you know, as far as I know, because I'm not familiar with the Batman comics. And he did a damn good job at it. I love the gritty world of Gotham and how his relation to the Wayne family is one of the causes of his breakdown. It was this gross and disturbing story. It was tense, too. The scene where he was on the Murray Franklin show was just nerve-wracking, man. And the aftermath was equally horrifying. Joaquin Phoenix also did an amazing job as Joker. I wouldn't say he's the best actor of the year, but if he doesn't at least get a nomination for his performance, I'd be pretty upset. He definitely deserves something. If you like gritty movies and character studies, then definitely check this out. On with the next one. Marriage Story was very, very heartbreaking. It's really hard to sit through, especially when you have a family similar to this. Their performances were so real, and some of the best of the year, actually. Adam Driver's might be one of the best of the decade. I know it's his best performance of the decade, for sure. It felt so believable, especially that scene with that fight. You all who've seen the movie know what I'm talking about. The scene was really heartbreaking, and it's just really hard to watch. I rarely have to pause movies to take a breather, but that one just really got me. This movie was just, you know, devastating. Not much else to say. I really want to say as little as possible. You know, that's all I should really get into. But you should all definitely check this one out. Unless you're like, your parents fight a lot, or they're divorced, and you have to sit through it, then I don't know if you can handle this movie. But like, if you don't have that problem, you know, go see this movie. It's really emotional and great, and it made me cry a lot.
I cried 4 times.
Me too.
On with the next one! Knives Out was so much better than I anticipated. It's this great murder mystery that keeps you on your toes, and is the reason Rian Johnson is my favorite director working. I went in expecting to find out at the end, who killed him, who killed the guy. But a few minutes in, you know exactly who did it. Or you think you do. It's a movie that constantly keeps you on your toes, but you don't know what's gonna happen. With all these characters being suspicious and just having their own reasons for killing Christopher Plummer's character, every character that just wasn't Ana de Armas was a soulless asshole. They're all just mean, and they want money or power, or, something like that. What I really admire this movie for is the message about upper-class liberalism. Throughout the movie, the family was really racist. This movie works well as a whodunit, but it works best as this take on immigrants and the stuff they have to deal with living in this country right now. There's a scene at the party where Marta, Ana de Armas' character, is talking to some members of the family about illegal immigrants. They basically use her as an excuse to seem more progressive and less racist than they really are. Then, when the will is read and it turns out Marta gets everything, especially the house, and nobody in the family does, they use her ethnicity to try and make her feel guilty and lose all the money. Like when Michael Shannon confronts her about her mother. Or how one person said that the house was their ancestral home and try to relate to Marta or something, despite it being built in the 1980s. Or another example is when one saying that he had a company he made from the ground up, even though he had a loan of $1 million.
A small loan of $1 million.
All this makes the ending just so much more satisfying. Seeing all the scummy and racist rich people turn around and see the immigrant they so despised winning in the end warms my heart. Even without the political drama though, it's a great murder mystery, and it's one that'll keep you on the edge of your seat with a stellar cast of actors and actresses. I definitely recommend Knives Out. On with the next one. Now I already talked about this movie back when I first saw it. It's on my channel, and you should all check it out. It's actually one of my favorite videos. I did a collab with the 2HQ, I got my dad to work on it, and the video persuaded my mom into making me go see it again in theaters, which I was very happy about. And everything in my video, the point still stands, so, there's no reason for me to talk about much more on this, segment of the video. But if you don't want to go see my video, which you should, then here are my quick thoughts, I guess. Dragon Ball Super Broly is a super fun, super animated, super written. That sounds so stupid. That sounded better in my head and, on the script, but I'm just gonna... Dragon Ball Super Broly is a super fun, it's a well animated, it's well written, and it's just all around an awesome movie for Dragon Ball fans like myself to enjoy. Not just Dragon Ball fans though, my mom has never watched anime in her life, and she really enjoyed this movie. She thought it was, really fun to watch. But this is mostly made for fans of Dragon Ball, but since a lot of the movie is explaining the backstory, any shonen fan or just action fans can get into this movie. It could be a good start for Dragon Ball fans too, like myself. I watched this movie, and I saw 12 episodes of Dragon Ball Super, really wasn't that much. And then I went to go see the movie, and I was like, I'm not prepared, I'm not gonna know anything. And then they had the backstory scenes, and I was so relieved. I still didn't know much about what was going on, but at least I get a general backstory. I get exactly just all I need to know, which was very helpful. This is worth a watch for fans of Dragon Ball, shonen anime, or just action movies in general, really. Give it a try. On with the next one. So this is one of the movies that I'm going to not talk about that much because I know a lot of people haven't seen it, but it is believe me when I say, it is straight up one of the best movies ever made. Everything about it is perfect. I was hooked from beginning to end. This turned from a fun comedy to this gripping suspense film, but never felt completely tonally different. This movie's writing and clever ideas had me shocked in the theater. There were schemes happening in this movie, I won't really go into detail, but there were schemes happening in this movie from the poor people to the rich people, and they were very clever and thought out. They were outlandish to the point where it's funny, but that's the point. Because the rich people were just too oblivious to figure it out. I was always expecting them to get caught, but they never did. It was very stressful and very funny watching. I very much love the commentary in this movie as well, about class conflict in just not only South Korea, but everywhere in the world, just class conflict in general. There's this poor family, the Kims, and the rich family, the Parks. For the first half of the movie, this is played off as a joke. The Kim's family schemes get more complex and outlandish. The Kim's schemes are like trying to get money and, get out of their disgusting, gross house. And then there's the Park family going along with it because they're just too stupid to notice any of the schemes. And how they really both rely on each other to live. And I won't go into detail, you'll figure it out, and you'll be like, oh my god, while watching the movie, and be like, that's why it's called Parasite. The rich family cannot function without the poor, and the poor cannot function without the rich. But I won't go into detail, because, whoa! It was really shocking watching in the theater. Maybe I'm just stupid, because I don't know how I didn't realize it. It was pretty, blatantly obvious, but I was still shocked, and I loved it, and I hope you guys love it. Anyway, both families are just kind of being parasites on each other. It's this great conflict, and in terms of filmmaking, this movie is just perfect. The camera work, the score, the acting, the writing, it's just all well done. I won't be surprised if this ends up on Criterion, and if it does end up on Criterion, I am buying it. I am buying it day one. And if it doesn't, I don't care. I'm buying it on Blu-ray day one. I will buy as many copies as I need to, and I will hand them out at school to every single kid in the school to make them watch this movie. It is incredible. It's not number one on my list, but it's objectively the best movie on this list. And objectively the best movie of the year, even if it's not my personal favorite. So, that. On with the next one. Watch Parasite! Yeah, I didn't expect this movie to be so high on my list either. Endgame wasn't some masterpiece like Parasite was, or an emotional drama like Marriage Story. So why is it above those two? Well, because I'm a nerd. I'm a big, fat, stinky nerd, and I love big superheroes fighting and going, stuff like that. I've been watching these movies since Iron Man 3 came out in 2013, and I saw it in theaters, and I haven't seen any other Marvel movie, and I was just blown away. 10-year-old me was like, whoa, watching this, because I was just taken back. Seeing Iron Man for the first time, it's really something different, and it's something that's great, and I love it. These movies were so fun. I fell in love with them instantly. Well, I fell in love with almost all of them instantly. The superheroes were just really cool to me, so this giant finale was absolutely insane. All this fan service and characters thrown into one big movie, which felt like a perfect ending to a saga lasting well over 10 years, was just crazy. And I loved every second of it. I saw this movie in theaters 4 times, and I cried every time, and then every time I did watch it in theaters, I cried more times than the last. And the 4th time I saw it, I knew was the last time I would see it, because it was the last weekend it was showing in my theater, so I cried the most. And it was very emotional. And oh my god. Great movie. As said before, this is the perfect wrap-up to a very long series with all these characters that I know and love. It's not the best acting in the world, but they all do a good enough job to make it believable. Except Jeremy Renner. He kinda sucks. Of course, and I cannot talk about this movie without the portal scene. That scene is perfection. Everything about it is just fantastic. The music, the tension, the acting, it's just so hype. It's the scene in the movie that makes all the fans and the big nerds like me stand up in their chair and they're like, yeah, Iron Man or Captain America or, something stupid like that. I'm not a big fan of theater interactions unless it's a movie like this. Or like Star Wars, or, a big blockbuster that I'm really into, and then, all the fans go crazy. I'm like, yeah, I love that. It's nice. It warms my heart. Because it really, fans can really get together and just enjoy something together. And that's why I love movie theaters, and that's why I love movies like these. So, this movie, it feels less like a movie and more like an event sometimes. So, if you haven't seen this, you live under a rock. Go see Avengers Endgame. It's very good. On with the next one. Again, I did already talk about this movie, and not much more will be said. If you want to go into detail, go see my Detective Pikachu video. Detective Pikachu is a fun movie. It was a great feel-good movie that makes me smile every time I watch it. I remember being so excited for it. The movie trailer came out, I was in math, I just finished a test, so I put my headphones in, I went to the bathroom, and I watched the trailer like 2 or 3 times before I went back to the class, and I was just hyper the rest of the day. It was finally happening. I didn't think it was actually like a movie that was happening, but it did, and I saw the trailer and I got so hyped for it, and I was just like on board with this movie 100%, and I did not stop talking about it from the moment I saw that trailer in November of 2018 to May of 2019, when I sat down in the theater with like 4 of my friends and we all watched it in IMAX. There's no big reason that I like this movie. It didn't do anything, progressive, other than the fact that I love Pokemon so much, and it's a good video game movie, which is very hard to come by nowadays. It's great seeing Pokemon and this series that I love, just on the big screen for the first time. I know it wasn't the first Pokemon movie on the big screen, but I wasn't alive when the first one came out in the big screen, so this is what I have to work with. It's a movie I can watch, over and over. I think I've seen it 4 or 5 times, because I bought the Blu-ray, and I am not getting sick of it. I absolutely love it. I left the theater just wanting more. I really hope there's a sequel. Like, I'm begging there to be a sequel, please! Fans of Pokemon or just video games in general, or, normal people who like adventure movies, they'll really enjoy this movie. On with the next one. Alright, now time to talk about some honorable mentions. These are movies that just didn't quite make the list, but I still think you should see them anyway because they're very good. So there's Booksmart. It's this really effective comedy that also works well as this emotional coming-of-age movie. I know a lot of people compare it to Superbad. It is kind of like Superbad, but it's, it's different. Trust me, I don't know how to explain it, but it is different. It's a completely different movie. It's just got, the same sort of setup. There's Midsummer, and Ari Aster once again scares the living hell out of me with his sophomore film, proving he isn't just this one-hit wonder, and he's got a very twisted mind. It Chapter 2 is a great follow-up to a surprisingly great horror movie. The performances and scares are dialed up greatly, and the long runtime gives us enough time to settle into the world and really connect with the setting and characters. Jojo Rabbit is a movie that really shocked me. I thought this would just be another, anti-Hitler comedy, and it just gets really stale after a long time, like what The Interview did. But it was a lot more of a drama, I'd say. It had its jokes, and they did land very well. I was laughing a lot in the theater, but it was really, incredibly emotional and heartbreaking at a lot of times. It was a movie that we really need in our lives. Plus, Rebel Wilson made me laugh. That's the first time I've ever laughed at her jokes. So, good for you, Jojo Rabbit. Reba! Anyway, here's my number 1 movie of 2019, and at the moment, actually my second favorite movie ever. Words cannot describe how good this movie is. I'm just blown away. This movie is creative. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's got easily the best performance of the decade, which is Willem Dafoe stealing the show yet again, proving he is one of the best actors of our time. The black and white grittiness really helped the feeling of this indie horror movie that was made decades ago. The soundtrack is eerie, the camera work is eerie, the movie is just all around kinda horrifying. But I don't know if I'd actually consider it a horror movie. It's more of a sci-fi, but it's barely that. I don't know what genre to put it in, but it works very well. For whatever it should be put in, it works very well. The movie keeps me on edge. It's uneasy, but that's what makes it great. I'm just really left in the dark. There's only 2 characters, and I don't really know much about them, and when you do, you find out, oh, one of them's lying, I don't know if I can really trust them, and they're drunk most of the movie, one of them hallucinates a lot of the movie, so it's just, I don't really know these characters, and for them to be the only 2 people in the movie just really freaks me out. But not even knowing who these characters are just still makes you feel for them. You don't really wish death upon them, you know, and it's just... ugh. It's scary, but in the best way. I recommend this movie to everyone, and it probably won't be for you, but I think you should still give it a try anyway. It's my favorite movie of the year. It's going to be one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's going to stay up there. It's a real masterpiece, and I'm buying it right when it comes out on Blu-ray, this month actually, which I'm very excited for, and I will watch it many times. I don't want to give any more away to you guys. I went in completely blind, and so should you. I know most of you guys didn't see this movie, so yeah, this is just going to be another review that I'm going to keep vague. Just know that this movie is incredible. Please go watch it. Anyway, that is my 2019 video, and that's my 2019 list. I hope you enjoyed it. So, again, tell me your favorite movies of 2019. Or even just, you know, your one favorite movie. I don't know. I love to know. I love to get some more interaction with you guys. That would be great. So, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, and have a great 2020, everybody. Let's see you later! Don't see cats. Like, this isn't a joke. Don't see cats. Bye.